Hi, my name is Robert Cook. I'm a student at JTech, and this is Engine Performance 2 class. And what we're going to do is go over a little bit of what the scan tool can read and what sensors are going to show up on that. First thing we're going to show you is what the scan tool is and some of the things that it'll read. You'll see that it shows the camshaft position sensor level, and that's going to be over here. It's very hard to see, but it is right there. And what that does is it sends a system to a signal from the camshaft to the PCM, telling it exactly where it is turning and hitting. To go with that is the crankshaft sensor, which is down here. It's very hard to see, so I'm just going to give you a general idea of where it's at, and that sends a signal to the PCM, telling it the current revolutions and the balance of that, and showing the engine RPM, which you can see right here. The fuel pump is back in the fuel tank. I'm not going to show you what that is, but it's going to show you the fuel pressure sensor and the fuel regulator are right here, and that's going to read up on here with our rail pressure and our system status. Our idle air control sensor is right here, and what that's going to do is that's going to tell the system to add a little bit of air to the intake for when the system is at idle, but it needs to run things like a power accessory or a air conditioning unit. Over here is the mass airflow sensor, which reads how much air is coming into the system, and the temperature of that air as it comes in feeds into the throttle position sensor, which is right here, which allows for additional air to go into the cylinders, into the intake valve, into the cylinders, to ensure that we have the proper stoichiometric mixture of air to fuel in the cylinder. We have here is showing our long-term fuel trim, which is where the system will tell you how much fuel should be going to the system over a long-term drive, per se, if you're heading down 95 at cruise control. And then you also have short-term, which is not showing here. It's further down on there, but that's for when you're sitting at a light and it needs to run a little bit just to keep it at idle and be ready for acceleration. And then during that acceleration and movement from gears to gear. The EGR sensor, which is right here, which is not on a lot of our more modern vehicles, allows for the air to come back out off the exhaust and back into the engine to allow for a little bit more cleaner burn and help burn off some more of that unburnt fuel and other items, which will help the O2 sensor, which there's one before and one after the exhaust in this system. And you'll see our desired idle speed, which will be thrown from our position sensor, and our throttle position, again showing right there. Vehicle speed sensor status will tell the PCM how fast the RPM is versus the actual speed of the vehicle through the ABS system. And we'll also talk about our fuel rail system, which is right here, which has a small needle that will, not really a needle, but a magnetic metal piece. It's kind of like a needle that will come out and allow fuel to come into the cylinders based on information sent from the PCM. And then you have our coils, which are over our spark plug. Those coils are a step-up transformer, which takes the voltage coming out of the system and steps it up to a higher voltage level so that it can cause optimal burn in the cylinder. Inside of there is a spark plug, which I may or may not be able to know. I can't show you at this time, but there's a spark plug in there, which takes a electrical spark or electrical signal from the alternator and creates a spark, allowing the fuel-air mixture to ignite, pushing the cylinder down, causing the stroke of the RPM of the crankshaft, moving the vehicle. Another thing you need to look at is making sure that your vehicle, while we're doing these tests, is hooked up to a battery charger to ensure that you're having proper charge, but make sure that it doesn't heat up too much and does not cause any problems from that. And this is a basic rundown of some of the sensors we have in our vehicle and how to use a scan tool to check them. Have a good day. One last thing I want to go ahead and contribute to this is make sure we understand where the scan tool is hooked into. This is the scan tool signal cord right here with the red attachment. Inside of there is the OBD2 sensor attachment. That is where we hook up our sensor to read what is going on in the engine. For that, it must be with the key on into the on position so that the electrical system and signals will be sent through. And that is a basic overview of some of the things we can read with our scan tool system. Thanks for watching and have a good day.